Hello, I'm Laura Sagen, Executive Vice President for Communications, Human Resources, and Technology Services at Casey Family Programs. And I have the distinct honor of presenting the 2022 Casey Excellence for Children Leadership Award to Dr. Raquel Hatter. Dr. Hatter is Managing Director of the Human Services Program at the Kresge Foundation in Troy, Michigan. The Kresge Foundation seeks to advance social and economic mobility with an applied racial equity lens that is driven by a two-generation whole family approach. Prior to joining the Kresge Foundation, she served as commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Human Services, where she identified ways to improve outcomes for individuals and families across various support systems. Dr. Hatter, congratulations on this well-deserved award, and thank you for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you for having me. Completely honored and humbled.
Um, as you know, June is National Reunification Month. Could you reflect on what role your foundation or philanthropies in general can play in supporting families?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Well, at Kresge, our overall vision is to expand opportunity to families living in American cities who are under-resourced or living in poverty. And we have a particular concern about communities of color. And in the Human Services Program in particular, we have a focus on what we call person-centered, or in this instance, I would say family-centered systems change. And so what we've learned is the importance of understanding how structural barriers or policy barriers show up in the lives of families on the front line, and things that get in the way of them realizing what they want for themselves and for their families and their future. And so there are a number of policies, either at the local, federal, state level, that interfere with the dreams that families have for themselves. So I think that it's important that foundations like us, which we are doing here at Kresge, and then others really understand the importance of interfacing with public sector systems as partners, that there's an integral role that to be played by public sector systems that families are interfacing with on a daily basis, and the role that private partnerships play in that, and the significance of community-based organizations, and most certainly the importance of working with families as partners, different than seeing families through a lens of client or customers. Is more than that, is that too, but it's more than that. And I think that's something that has been missing historically, at least since my service in various sectors to kids and families.
Mhm. So you've been a leader and a role model as the first Black CEO of Whaley Children's Center in Flint, Michigan, and the first Black CEO of Family and Children's Service in Nashville. How do you think we collectively could improve equity and better support children and families of color?
Sure. I think the first rule in my mind is the first do no harm. And I think we should collectively be honest about the role that structural and historical racism has played with regard to the issues that we continue to see that communities of color, families of color, children of color continue to face. And a classic example I would give is how we as a nation responded to the crack cocaine epidemic in the 80s and 90s with regard to how we chose to treat families and children at that time relative to how we respond now with regard to the opioid addiction epidemic that's happening in the country. I bring that up in part because it's something that's very hard to ignore, yet the difference is so stark. So it becomes important to understand how these inequities manifest historically and how they continue to do so if we don't take what I see as a candid and honest look at what some of those decisions, how some of those decisions were made, and moreover, the fact that they still have implications today generationally for families. So I think when I say to take a hard look at it, we have to be honest about what has driven the difference between how we respond to different communities. And that's the type of lens and courage I think that it requires in order for us to truly address the issues that families and communities of color face when systems get involved in their lives.
Yeah. So, how have your own life experiences informed you on how you approach your work?
Sure. Well, for one, I'm a Head Start alum. When I was in school for my undergrad as a student parent, and I was a student parent as a grad student as well. Didn't have any kids during post grad. So, but I did receive child care assistance. I have received SNAP assistance. So I know what it is to struggle, and I know what it is to struggle less. And as a result of my service to date, and in partnership with so many colleagues and families across the country, I know the promise that families and communities hold. And I'm really grateful to be able to do this work alongside my colleagues here at Kresge and all over the country. And I think that having done the work on the front line, having been subject to the system, having served on the front line, and having had the opportunity and the privilege to serve in different sectors, um, I know that things can be different than what they are. And hearing the work that we do, I'm able to see that every day from around the country. And I count a large part of that to my own life. And so I see it as a privilege to be able to continue to do this work.
What you do is amazing, and I just want to know if there's any last thoughts you want to share with us.
Well, I was thinking about the issues that we're seeing so prevalent today. There's so many ills. I'm still optimistic because one of the cool things about being a part of a national foundation like Kresge is we get to see the possibilities. We see what is working in community. And so we remain optimistic and we're committed to that cause. And then being able to do it in the current environment as a Black woman and being unapologetic about our commitment to all, and especially communities of color because of the history of the marginalization and oppression, and being honest about that. And I think the thing I would say is that knowing my own history and all I've learned from that, and all I've learned from communities on the front line, that we have no option but to lead with a lens of racial equity and racial justice and showing up authentically. That's one lesson I got from doing work on the front line. Showing up authentically is going to be essential in that. So I would definitely encourage folks who struggle with those challenges of code switching and who am I now and how should I be. I strongly encourage folks in doing this hard work on the front lines and at various levels from that philanthropy, public sector, to be who you are in service to kids and families. That's all that matters in the end. And thank you as well, Casey, for your service, and to all my colleagues and families and communities I had the privilege to work with.
Well, thank you for all you do for children and families and the communities in which you work. And congratulations again on this much deserved award.
Thank you.
Now, let's meet our next winner.